So first of all, it's really a privilege to be here, standing in front of probably the distinguished leaders, the number of top leaders that we have in India. So I know it has been a very, very insightful session, and there's too many things to observe and network in last 1.5 days. But I hope you get some time to actually unlock the beach value as well. Now, I have been to Goa. I think it's been quite some time that I've been here, and I can tell you that it has changed a lot based on my friends and all that I hear about. And I hope you really get some quality time to unlock this value. But I'm not going to spend time talking about unlocking the GCC value here. Unlocking the beach value. Rather, I would focus on unlocking the GCC value based on my experience, which has been about 25, 26 years, working across different global capability centers, all the way starting from Siemens to Cerner to Oracle, and right now at Epsilon. One thing is for sure, I have seen how the GCCs have transformed from being a simple functional unit, right, meant for cost effectiveness, to be more a multi-dimensional, cross-functional plan, build, deliver, run ecosystem to generate more value and outcome. And I have been very closely associated to it. My specialization has been primarily on the technology and engineering, and everything that I'll be talking is more focused around the ITS sector, based on my interest with this change or this transformation. Okay, so first, before I get started, let me quickly introduce Epsilon. Now, it's very interesting because we are not a household name. And when I meet different people, they usually ask me one common question, do you guys build printers? So no, Epsilon is actually a data technology and services company. And we are in ad tech and marketing tech domain. So essentially what we do is, in simple words, we connect the brands to the consumers. And we do so by building different solutions, products, offerings, which are definitely AI-based, to create personalized campaigns, for example, managing the customer data platform, or you can think about the loyalty offers. And we also have services on top of it, like whether it's data management services or analytics services, or digital experience services, strategic consulting, and all. We are part of the Publicis group. I hope you may have heard about Publicis. So we are part of the Publicis group and focused on outcome-based marketing. And one of the things that I actually gave a talk about 1.5 months or so back in the Cypher, more about AI and marketing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time around AI and marketing here because the focus is on GCC value. But I can tell you a little bit from an introductory standpoint. Marketing is all about creating the right moments, right? And that should actually lead to right action. And that can only happen if you have the right context. So it's all about creating moments, not just campaigns. But to build those magical moments, it requires a massive, massive architecture on the back end. So it requires humongous data to deal with, right? So what we do at Epsilon is that we do have our own data. We bring in customer data, we link them together through our world-class identity management solution. We call it as a core ID. And then on top of it, we run a lot of predictive AI algorithms to create those moments. Now, just to understand the scale that we operate with, you can think about for every individual that we have, we actually analyze over 7,000 attributes of that individual to better understand consumers, because it's all about understanding the consumers and building those moments. We also analyze over about 650 billion online transactions on a daily basis. So you can think about an avalanche of signals that needs to be processed almost on a real-time basis. And doing so, we actually create, after that, very personalized messages for our customers. So we send about like you can see here, about 120 billion messages that we send, all at a real time. And in the last probably 4 to 5 minutes that I spoke, we had actually 1 billion model updates that may have happened. Now, think about these models. Like we've been into this predictive AI for a long, long time, just so that you understand, like each data, if it is a node in a graphical system or a graph database, the models that are available commercially, none of them can handle this scale. So we had to come up and build our own proprietary models through standing up our own data science teams over the last many, many decades. On top of it, now agentic AI and generative AI is coming to create, much more scale. But everything that we do is definitely, we have a principle to keep human in loop, and we heard a lot about human in loop throughout in this conversation. Now, a little bit I'll spend time on Epsilon India and why I'm here to talk about it. Now, Epsilon India is actually, I can say, the heart of this system that I talked about. We are about 40% of the global headcount that we have at the global footprint. And we have our engineering, deliveries, services, different enabling functions, all co-located in one place in Bangalore. What is unique, I would say, about Epsilon is this is one of the very few GCCs where you will see that very, very senior leaders are actually even reporting to the leaders in India. So we are completely into a global remit, global accountability model. And that's what I'm going to talk to, what it took to get to this state. Now, this has been the same case or a similar journey that I had been in my previous company as well, and there was a lot of learning. So everything that I'm talking is through my experience and simplifying it to help the different GCCs that are setting up or getting set up right now, or even those who had been into this journey and can resonate with this. So before I go there, I just wanted to probably ask you this question, or basically, what comes to your mind when you think about OpEx? Because any GCC starts, like we heard throughout in last 2 days, it's all about efficiencies. So when you think about OpEx, you think about operating expense. So again, you think about cost, part of it, efficiency on it. But actually, the answer to unlocking the GCC value, according to my journey, has been in this same one word, which is OpEx. And that's what I'm going to cover here on what is that. So that's the 4 pillars, actually, of OpEx, which is ownership, partnership, excellence, and transformation that actually helps unlocking the value and making a GCC from an efficiency or cost center to more of a strategic influence center. So that's the framework. So when I evaluate any GCCs, when I take up a responsibility, I definitely go through the lens of these 4 pillars to assess the maturity. And that has been pretty much working for me so far. So let's start with one by one, all of these pillars that let's go through it. The first one is the ownership. Now, whenever I think about ownership, the thing that comes to my mind is about the V formation flight, right, which you all may have already heard about. But what it is, if you look at a global remit or a global ownership, each entity, each unit needs to be self-sufficient, needs to have a responsibility very well defined for the collective success of the fleet. So it is all about intent and ability, and of course, being backed by the right ecosystem. Now, in my previous organization, I was responsible for managing the engineering organization. I can tell you, I was heading about 2,500 or so org. It is no comparison when it comes to the challenge and rewards managing a 200 or so member organization with a global accountability versus a local responsibility for a 2,000+ organization. But it is extremely, extremely challenging to reach that state. And I have seen, I was given the responsibility about 1.5 decades back to move the ownership of the different IP products, right, which were like the best that we had in that company, to India. And in that journey, the one simple answer where it succeeded or it didn't succeed actually was talent. And when we think about talent, it's not just about the leadership layer. Of course, we need to hire the right leaders. It's also about building that mighty middle. I always called it the mighty middle. So we even had an initiative, build a mighty middle, right? The architects, the roles that you don't have, which are very, very necessary for the success of your ownership. So we focused a lot on building that mighty middle, hiring the right leaders, establishing new roles, ensuring that there is a full-time availability. It's so stressful, right? Today at Epsilon, GCC responsibility is probably 20% of my remit. I spend most of my 80% in actually managing all of the SaaS ops globally. So it has to be, if there is an incident happening anywhere, if within 50 minutes, if the communication doesn't go to our customers, then we are failing. Right? So we have to put all the systems in place. We need to get into the calls. So that is one thing. Then I'm also responsible for AI Center of Excellence to ensure that hey, entire organization, no one is laggard, everyone is coming and getting ready for the future. Now, that is the model that we went for at Epsilon, and even in my past, right? We wanted to make sure every leader had a global remit. Now, to build that, it is very important. One is, of course, the mindset shift that you need to have a system thinking. That was one of the big learnings that we had, that it is about starting with the client at the end in mind, and then working backwards for the customer success. I think that defines. So what I have realized is that if you take care of your customers, the rest of the system actually takes care of itself. But to enable that system mindset, of course, we need to be staying on top of many things, including alignment with shared objectives, the leadership layer, to all the way, building the recognitions and other processes that we need to put in place. But system mindset is very, very important to focus. Now, in India or in GCCs, typically have started as a services, providing services. So there is a very high risk of becoming a task-driven organization. Right? And to break that to a decision-making requires a lot of effort. And that's where talent is one part of it. Different programs are very, very critical to be put in place. And it may work differently in a different organization. But that was one of the learnings. The third is definitely the intent and alignment of the global, across the globe around that global remit model. Now, this is very important. I have seen the failures. You can fail in spite of putting everything if there is not an intent and understanding of the value between your headquarters and the local GCC. So it is very important to have that alignment. So what we do at Epsilon is we built a global dashboard, right? Accountability dashboard, where we very clearly review, along with our executive sponsors, how are we progressing when it comes to the global remits. Now, it includes definitely different factors, like are you running a global program end-to-end? Are you having a global teams reporting to you, right? So any leader you are hiring, are you having those guardrails in place so that you are not hiring just for managing operations? So these are all the things that we had to, sort it out in this process. But, yep, what is very exciting to see that about 60% of the GCCs that have opened in the last 5 years, I think, and about 44% of the GCCs are in the portfolio hub, so which, if you look at Zeno or NASSCOM's way of evaluating, it starts with outpost to satellite to portfolio to eventually transformation. So portfolio defines the ownership, and it's great to see it. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that any new GCCs, if you're starting, you don't need to start being an outpost and then go through the change management process, but rather start directly keeping the global remit in mind, which is where you can unlock the value. The second thing is the partnership. Now, when I think about partnership, I actually break it up into two parts. One is about the internal, what is your cross-collaboration in the organization, and other is the external ecosystem. Now, it is very important here that as we think more as a one global team, it is also easy to lose the value that you get as a power of one in the local ecosystem that you have in India, right? And so that's the fine balance has to be maintained. And you can do it through different ways. I talked about shared objectives, your recognition of the teams that demonstrate cross-functional behaviors. One of the things that we did also worked very well is that we went to a hybrid working model, requiring every team, like everyone to come 2 days a week, but which were designed keeping the value in mind, right? For example, if you're in a support organization, you work with engineering, you work with delivery, get all the 3 teams in 2 days with fixed, design of how they will work. So that helped us, one, I just want to tell you. But there are different ways you can build an internal, but it's very, very important to build that partnership. The second part is the external partnership. Now, I talked about the intent of the headquarters and the India leadership, right? For us to get that ownership. Now, external partnership is very, very important because it actually, you won't realize how much trust it can build to your global counterparts. One thing I realized was, even though you have been here for many years, you will be surprised to know that many of your leaders do not view global capability center as that advanced as we think we are, right? So this is where the partnership with Zinovs of the world, NASCOMs of the world, we organize when, let's say, the senior C-level execs come in, organize meetings with distinguished leaders like you, and then we went through different, discussions, and that helps build the trust. So I definitely encourage if you want to do that and go for a partnership. And of course, the technology part, we heard a lot. It is about build versus buy and taking the right decisions. Now, it's super powerful, right? Being an engineer, I can know we want to build everything, right? But we also know that I've seen only very, very small marginal percentage of those actually scale. So rather, taking the decisions about partnering with hyperscalers. So we partner with different hyperscalers, you may say, to build AI capabilities specifically. Okay, so I go to the third pillar, which is excellence. Now, if partnership is about design thinking and collaboration, excellence to me is about first principles, and they complement each other. Why it is very important? Because I feel every GCC needs to have an identity of its own. And that identity, if you want to establish, one of the very popular frameworks is establishing a center of excellence. But the center of excellence, doing it at a central level, I feel is a little vague, but you need to figure out your specialized area that you want to build your identity on and build your depth. And that worked for us. I had been associated with different COEs in the past. I'm not going through all of the details as I say it, but whether it is automation, accessibility, stability, AI is very, very popular right now, and there's a lot of areas to collaborate there as well. So we can talk through in each of this, but one of the learnings that I wanted to share is that the center of excellence has also become bottleneck if we do not have the right model in place. So we need to put all the way from the charter, the governance, the measurement, the value metrics, to the operating model as well. And at some point, I feel it has to be decentralized once you build that capability. But it gives you an identity, and so it's very, very powerful to think through if you want that. And of course, the execution excellence is very critical. If we don't, many times the execution fails because people do not know what matters most for them, right? And I have put a couple of things. If the first one is objectives and key results, everybody in the world will know that, but I'm not sure how many of you know there is a very good framework which is called Hoshin Curry's X Metrics. Has anybody heard that? Okay. If you have not, definitely you may go ahead and see that. It's actually in one place. You can get everything that I've spoken through all the way from your North Star, what is your vision, to your annual objectives, to your priorities, the annual priorities or initiatives, to your key measures or metrics, to your accountability, who are the accountable leaders. So, and it very well connects end to end. So it brings a lot of alignment if it can be done as a shared exercise across with your leadership. But keeping OKRs is very, very important. And I have also put in, because of the agile world we are in, I believe incremental delivery, predictability is very, very important. That's where agile comes in. And scale agile framework really worked very well for us when it comes to breaking the cross-functional project dependencies, release trains, etc. So I am also certified in scale agile framework, but it is a very powerful tool. Okay, so with that, I go to the last one, which is about transformation. Now, this is about keeping one step in the current and the second step in the future. And this is what we all leaders have to do, right? And if you look at today, I think if there is one common theme that we have all spoken and we've been speaking about is AI, right? And this is where I think we can do a lot together in this transformation journey. And I feel a lot of us have to spend a lot of time in change management if you are specifically focusing on an established organization, GCC, that you need to take to the future. And of course, there's a choke point, and it's very important that we build that AI fluency in the organization, and for which we are doing a lot of things. Like we actually are thinking. We have our AI mascots. We do have different ecosystem to enable practice for everyone. Of course, learning, development, different modules from the best in the world that we can get. So all of this is part of building that AI fluency. Then second, I feel it is very important for or given AI is the level playing field now, we can be the launch pad to propel our parent company to the future. I think that's very, very, very great opportunity that we cannot let it go with AI coming in, especially in the GCC world. And you can think about your opportunities like one of the definitely I see around as I talked about the siloed practices is about reimagining the old processes practices with new, more efficient, innovative practices, right? That is very much possible. So what we do is that we created AI champions for every vertical, including HR, finance, and sales, and everyone, every department. And we created a steering committee. We meet as an AI council and discuss and try to support each other. So that's the exercise we have been doing. But like we have seen where people are really even today a little worried about AI, right? Which has been there, or just usage of AI. And also, the sustainable AI usage is also important. So we have been working through it, but that's a great opportunity. The third I talked about is be the catalyst for the client success. I think we are already, but I think it is very important to meet the clients where they are with AI, because they are equally worried with AI, just like we in our internal GCC system as well, right? And each one of us are clients for each other as well, right? So it is important to have the client centricity in mind. And I think the value will be at the intersection of client centricity and AI. I have seen many instances where people think that, hey, if I am client-centric, I cannot use AI. Or if I am AI-centric, I'm too much thinking about efficiency, I'm losing the client centricity. But actually, the success lies at the intersection of both, so it's important. And the last one is to be the collective industry voice. So I think we heard about a lot of policies and all. I think we all can come together and be that collective industry voice for our GCCs. Now, academia partnership, I really want to call out because I do feel as a GCC leader, all of us have that moral responsibility to build our future, right? And so academia partnership is something I think is very important for all of us to think through. Okay, so with that, I land here. I know it's time's up. So I shared based on my experience and some of the frameworks that worked. There are a few areas that didn't work as well as I went through this journey. If you need anything, I'm definitely open to share any specifics if you have, or also want to hear from you in the next 1.5 days around what you are doing with AI, change management, or from your GCC to take it to the future. So with that, I end. Thank you, everyone.